Hey everybody, I'm SARA Wiseman. Today's lesson is what happens in stillness. What happens in stillness with the absence of distractions of all kinds, the soul can peek out from the human container and feel everything all at once. If you are busy with your mind full of memories and looping thoughts of how much you have left to do and how little time you have to do it, the universe will have a very hard time reaching you in this moment. And yet, if you create a little space, if you deliberately stop the rushing of your mind, then you enter into a dimension of quiet stillness. You are hovering very close to now. I think stillness is really hard. I think it's very interesting to think that even 100 years ago, well, even 50 years ago, we didn't have this level of technology. 50 years ago, we didn't have computers, we didn't have smartphones. If you wanted to call somebody, you would call their house, or maybe there'd be a party line that you shared with other people. And I don't even think there were recording machines yet. If someone called you and you weren't home, either the phone just rang, or if someone else picked it up, they would have to take a message for you on a piece of paper and then put it like where on the refrigerator. I don't even know. But so 50 years ago, that's maybe 1 or 2 generations. This level of technology didn't exist. If you wanted to listen to music, you'd go put a record on or play music. If you wanted entertainment, you could have TV, or you could go to the movies, like you could get in your car and go to a movie theater, or you could read a book. And now we have, with our trusty, devices, our computers, we have all this onslaught of information coming in all the time. And it's incredibly interesting, right? Like, you no longer have to go to the library and get this giant stack of books to find what you're interested in. You can just scroll through and put it in and something will come up. So it gets very addictive to get all of this knowledge. It also gets very addictive to have all of this entertainment. If you want to know what's happening with the celebrities, like, well, one, you probably can't even miss that. Or if you want to know what's happening in sports, if that's your thing. So this onslaught of distraction comes in. And now let's talk about social media. If you're doing social media with your friends, all of that just coming in, feeding in, feeding in, feeding in. In old movies, they used to have the picture of the ticker tape, which was the stock market, and it would come in off a machine. It would just keep feeding out. And then when things went crazy, all of the paper would come out all at once, and everyone would be like, what's happening? The markets are going crazy, whatever. And that idea of this massive flow suddenly coming through. And yet that's happening on our device. Like, every time we turn it on, there's more. We can't even accommodate all of it. We certainly can't look at it all. We can't read it all. I'm not going to approach the part about how everything that comes into our phone is based on everything we looked at in the past, like all the cookies working all the time, or all the AI to bring us only what we want to see. So we never grow outside our viewpoint. So when we go into stillness, all of that stops. And our brain, which is so used to going to the pellet machine for the rats in the cage, so used to getting our little hit of dopamine or whatever it is we're getting, suddenly all that stops. And all of the things that we were thinking about, looping the information, and then let's think about a memory, and then let's think about something else. The entire monkey mind is just staring at us like, what can we have to think about? You go into stillness, and the monkey mind gets pretty pissed off. It's like, it doesn't want to be bored. The distracted mind is like, I need more distraction now. And then you kind of hang out in stillness a little bit more, and you do start to notice the subtle things that you couldn't notice without the distraction device. And I want to say it's not just the devices. If you're very good at, say you like, I don't use devices, or I only call my friends on the phone or text my friends. And yet if your mind, if you're sitting in your garden in stillness, so proud of yourself that you never use your device, you never look at social media, you don't do any of that stuff. And yet if your mind is continually looping on memory, or if your mind is continually working over some grudge from the past, or if your mind is continually future thinking, looping about like what's going to be, it's the same thing. Monkey mind is fully engaged. So when we take that away, it can be really boring at first. And if we know like it's going to be boring, just trust that if you stick with it, something else will happen. And it's almost like we are in monkey mind and it's very frenetic. And then we go into stillness and we kind of have to argue with ourselves about that. Actually, I'm going to do this lower. So monkey mind is here. It's wild and crazy. We want more and more and more, sort of addictive monkey mind. Then we go into stillness. It's very dull. We fight against it, but we just like go, okay, I'm just going to relax. And then we sort of finally morph into a different vibrational level, or a different dimensional level, or a different level of relaxation with the brain, where we kind of, instead of tightly fussing around with everything, we just open up. And sometimes when those of you who do different meditations where part of the process is we open the crown chakra, there's sometimes this idea, ancient idea of like the lotus on top of your crown chakra, and the lotus opens up. And that might be an idea of this, we lift into the other dimension. I notice when I do meditation, there's this moment that I would call maybe transition, where we move from relaxed state into deeper relaxation. And then suddenly we just know we're in this gentle trance. We know we're in there because it would take some effort to come back out. So what we're looking at in stillness is to have that available to us whenever we want. So we could be in the midst of the most distracting thing, or we could be in the midst of the biggest memory rehash, or the biggest future forward thinking. And we can be able to just close our eyes and take a few breaths and go into that relaxed state. And just the thoughts like just sort of fall out of our head, and we're just there. And kind of we get so entrained on this, we can go into this place of no thought really quickly. At first, maybe it's not so fast. After a while, you've done it, you train yourself to go to that particular dimensionality or that particular vibrational state or that particular relaxation state, whatever you want to do it. And suddenly there's no thought, there's no thinking. And then if there's this little flitter of thinking, you're just like, yeah, no thanks. I'm doing this now. And it's really such a relief to have this available, right? Such a relief to be able to get out of the clamor of the world, which is somewhat collective soul in collective monkey mind, and go to a different level of collective soul, which is where everything is relaxed and still and spacious. I invite you to just kind of practice, like if you've practiced a lot with me or done the various things that I work with, you'll already be kind of entrained. Or if you have your own practice, you're sort of entrained on it, but just kind of remind yourself every now and then, just like take that pause, go into that space. Wow, it's amazing. That's available in every moment to us, that place of stillness. And that's where everything's really happening. None of this matters. The stillness is where it all is. Thank you for listening. See you next time.